Consumer sentiment yesterday really showed a clear picture. People feel good about today. They're nervous about 6 months. If you really dig into the consumer sentiment, that's what it says. And if you're nervous about 6 months from now, probably you're nervous because you think your job or your significant other's job is at risk. One of the options might be to go out and look at a franchise or an established business. Well, it is clear, folks, Q1 2024 layoffs have started. I think it is very clear this is not the kind of overhiring in tech that we saw from Amazon, Facebook, and others last year with the 10,000 or 12,000 whack at a time. I think what we are seeing now is more and more companies realizing that they need to right size, they need to manage their cost or overhead so that they can maintain margins. As we think about layoffs increasing by a significant amount in Q1 2024, it might be time to think about buying a business or buying a franchise. We, of course, have the one and only concierge to small business lending, Bo Eckstein. How you doing, Bo?
I am excellent. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So it's really interesting. For years, I've been watching this kind of work from home phenomenon. I saw companies say you could work from anywhere. And as an executive at a company, typically on the new product side, I always knew that that was going to come back to bite some companies. Now, if you're in operations or you're in finance or any of these other kind of back office, working remotely makes perfect sense. But if you were someone on my team and we were trying to take a software from 0 to 100 million, it never been done in this product category, you can't be remote. There's this synergy that comes from being in the room and basically learning fast. And it just can't be done. So I always expected some companies to revert and say, come back to the office or else. Today, it seems that some people are saying, F you, boss, give me my severance. I'm going to go buy a franchise of this or that sort. Is that happening?
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it. I had a relative actually that moved, and they were in management, and basically they said you're gonna not have your job if you don't move back and come into the office at least three times a week. So
Wow.
she's moving back because she likes her job. But I have a client right now, and he relocated, and his job is in California. He makes good money, really good money, and he's kicking the job to the curb because he says, "I'm not moving back to California." And he's luckily for him, he's got a nice portfolio of short-term rentals, and he's about to buy some franchises. So he's in a position that he can do that. But I do think there's a lot of people that aren't in that position, and they're going to either have to make a decision to go back and work in the office,
Mhm.
or go out on their own. And going out on your own is not always the easiest thing.
No, I'm not, never met, if I've ever made it sound easy, it's absolutely not. It's probably even more risky, right? It's safer to go back to living in California and going back to the office, but it may not be the right fit for you. Maybe you don't want to go back. Maybe you sold the big California home and you can't buy in again because it went up. And I think there's a lot of people that are realizing that this, work 80-hour nonsense in the Silicon Valley is not worth it. And I don't think people really realize what it costs to get into a franchise. I think a lot of people like me think it's $1 million, what it costs to buy a McDonald's or whatever. It's just not the case. There are plenty of franchises out there that you could get in for significantly less than that.
Yeah, all in. I mean, most of the non brick and mortar service based franchise models, you're all in for less than 250. That's including working capital. So that means, in theory, you can have 25 grand out of pocket to close on the deal with an SBA loan. So we can help
So
anybody.
hold on. I think people miss that. I think they heard you say 250 and they were first thinking that's their 250. You're saying no, 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 no. Come to the concierge of small business lending. I'll get you 225 and you just bring 25. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an established franchise concept and it's a startup, I take the FDD. Typically, the
FDD
banks
is
are
what?
franchise disclosure document. You're going to get that when you're reviewing franchises. That's going to tell you the numbers, and it's going to disclose a lot of information. It's not all the due diligence you need to do, but it's the
It's a
basics of it.
start. Yep.
It's the start, exactly. If it's an established franchise concept, I have banks that are willing to do 90% of total project cost, which includes franchise fee, getting that truck, office space, working capital, employee salary for the first few months. That becomes your total project cost. We can finance up to 90% of that
Hmm.
in not all circumstances, but a good portion of these franchises. I've talked before about how I helped a gentleman get into a painting franchise, which was a total project cost of about 115,000 or 100 less than that. It was like his equity injection was 11,500 essentially.
Okay.
So it was like whatever the
Like
difference
12
is.
grand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 grand.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's something
And
for everybody.
yeah. Yeah. So this is why I think there's a lot of folks who may, there's going to be a lot of folks. Consumer sentiment yesterday really showed a clear picture. People feel good about today. They're nervous about 6 months. If you really dig into the consumer sentiment, that's what it says. And if you're nervous about 6 months from now, probably you're nervous because you think your job or your significant other's job is at risk. One of the options might be to go out and look at a franchise or an established business and do something else. So it's an interesting idea.
I had lunch with some real estate people yesterday, and I was telling them I do a lot of like virtual events, right? Like every month I do at least one. So I'm doing one which is titled Top Franchise Models for Real Estate Professionals, because I also know
Hmm.
real estate agents are struggling right now because there's just
Yeah,
not as much inventory and there's not as many transactions. And with this new NAR ruling, it's going to be changing the game a little bit.
absolutely.
And so why not diversify? And usually with real estate, you're working from your home and then you're showing properties. That's like what you do. You're not like busy 24/7. And so why not own a business that might be a stream of revenue for your real estate business? For example, if you own a painting company, all those
Hmm.
clientele you deal with when they're going to sell, oh, by the way,
Yeah,
our owner that owns this painting company owns a real estate brokerage, right? Like start
yeah,
feeding yourself. Think about this. Or if you're um, thinking about going out on your own, I think the big thing to think about is, look, I think it's time that you invest in yourself, right? That's the real thing. Are you confident in yourself
yeah.
that you can do this? And I think a lot of it is the mind. So build the mindset up and just go out and do it, because if you don't want to be told what to do, you need to be self-employed
Yeah.
to a certain degree, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have a test or a survey or whatever it is that you can actually send people if they reach out to you and book a meeting that will help them kind of say, "Hey, you fit over here." I know you sent it to me last week. I've not taken it yet, but I will. This is something that, that nervous person who's thinking out 6 months, you could send them and then kind of review the results. It's kind of like, let's see what you're right for. Is that fair?
Yeah, so it's like a disc profile just geared for entrepreneurial assessment, we call it, or business assessment. And it's really just, it's useful for me. You get a copy of it, and actually the franchise concepts, they look at this because they can see what key characteristics that their top performing franchisees in their system have. And this is where they use this resource to help match it, helps match. We have a system that will automatically take some of the algorithms from that and actually show us the best possible matches. I mean, it's not like a 100% perfect match, but it at least does it on an automated process. And then it's really the way I figure it out is I have conversations with people, and then you start talking to them. And a lot of times what we make people do is we all present like 5 or 7 different franchise models to people, and I'll say, okay, pick the top 3 as we're going through these, and put them in order of how you like them. But I always tell people you should go and you should look at 3 different business models, because sometimes the first one you think is the one you want is not the one you want, and you need to explore.
Yeah.
And then people come in. I get calls all the time. Hey, I want to get pre-qualified for a business acquisition. Well, with SBA financing. Well, do you have a business in mind? No. Well, we need the business cash flow to determine how much can I qualify. It's not like buying a home. So a lot of those people I find are better suited to get into a franchise startup, because instead of paying a 2, 3, or 4 multiple of
Mhm.
sellers' discretionary earnings, cash flow, you're paying a premium to buy an existing business. I'm not saying I believe in business acquisition, but I'm saying some people would be better suited to start fresh with a startup, and you're all in for a lot less because you're not paying a premium on earnings and so forth.
I
So that's
agree.
the way
Couldn't
we
agree more.
look at it. And I tell people, go look, keep looking at business acquisitions and just go through our process. And it's, I don't, if at the end of the day you say, Bo, I looked at 10 of your ideas and I don't like any of them, that's perfectly
Perfect.
fine. What,
That's an okay answer. At least you know.
yeah. And
Yeah,
and it's just like, I go back to real estate investing. It's the same thing. If you're not looking at deals every single day, you're not going to get a deal.
exactly right. Yeah. Got to have the discipline, got to do the daily work. If you're thinking about this, if you are nervous and you're just not sure, you got to book a meeting with Bo. He's very gracious with his time. He'll give you 15 minutes. But Bo, how do they book it?
You go to onerentalmeeting.com.
Onerentalmeeting.com. Folks, this guy bought a URL just for this audience. Onerentalmeeting.com. Go to it, book your time, see what's possible, and just, uh, just it's okay. Things are going to be okay. It is scary. Probably will become more scary, but we can move forward. We can move forward together and let Bo help you if that's the right answer. Bo, thank you for being the concierge to small business lending.
Thank you.
Mhm.